Thus have I heard on one occasion the Blessed One was wandering in the Magadhan country and eventually arrived at Rajagaha. There he went to the potter Bhagawa and said to him, "If it's not inconvenient for you, Bhagawa, I will stay one night in your workshop." "It's not inconvenient for me, Venerable Sir, but there is a homeless one already staying there. If he agrees..." Is this on?
Yes, it's on.
Okay. "If he agrees, then stay as long as you like, Venerable Sir." Now there was a clansman named Pukusati who had gone forth from the home life into homelessness out of faith in the Blessed One. And on that occasion he was already staying in the potter's workshop. The Blessed One went to the Venerable Pukusati and said to him, "If it's not inconvenient for you, monk, I will stay one night in the workshop." "The potter's workshop is large enough, friend. Let the Venerable One stay as long as he likes." Then the Blessed One entered the potter's workshop and prepared a spread of grass at one end and sat down, folding his legs crosswise, setting his body erect, establishing mindfulness in front of him. The Blessed One spent most of the night seated in meditation. And the Venerable Pukusati also spent most of the night seated in meditation. Then the Blessed One thought, "This clansman conducts himself in a way that inspires confidence. Suppose I were to question him." So he asked the Venerable Pukusati, "Under whom have you gone forth, monk? Who is your teacher? Whose Dhamma do you profess?" "Friend, there is the recluse Gotama, the son of the Sakyans, who went forth from the Sakyan clan." Now a good report of that blessed Gotama has been spread to this effect, that the Blessed One is accomplished, fully awakened, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, sublime knower of worlds, incomparable leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, awakened and blessed. I have gone forth under the Blessed One. That Blessed One is my teacher. I profess the Dhamma of that Blessed One. But monk, where is the Blessed One, accomplished and fully awakened, now living? There is, friend, a city in the northern country named Sawati. The Blessed One, accomplished and fully awakened, is now living there. But monk, have you ever seen the Blessed One before? Would you recognize him if you saw him? No, friend, I have never seen the Blessed One before, nor would I recognize him if I saw him. Then the Blessed One thought, this clansman has gone forth from the home life into homelessness under me. Suppose I were to teach him the Dhamma. So the Blessed One addressed the Venerable Pukusati thus, I will teach you the Dhamma. Listen and attend closely to what I shall say. Yes, friend, the Venerable Pukusati replied. The Blessed One said this. This person consists of 6 elements, 6 bases of contact, 18 kinds of mental exploration, and he has 4 foundations. The tides of conceiving do not sweep over him, one who stands upon these foundations. And when the tides of conceiving no longer sweep over him, he's called a sage at peace. One should not neglect wisdom, should preserve truth, should cultivate relinquishment. Relinquishment here means letting go of craving, that little tension and tightness in your head and your mind, and should train for peace. This is a summary of the exposition of the 6 elements. This person consists of 6 elements, so it was said, and with reference to what was this said, there are the earth element, water element, fire element, air element, space element, and consciousness element. So it was with reference to this that it was said, monk, this person consists of 6 elements. This person consists of 6 bases of contact, so it was said, and with reference to what was this said, there are the base of eye contact, the base of ear contact, the base of nose contact, the base of tongue contact, the base of body contact, and the base of mind contact. So it was with reference to this that it was said, this person consists of 6 bases of contact. This person consists of 18 kinds of mental exploration. So it was said, and with reference to what was this said, on seeing a form with the eye, one explores a form productive of joy. One explores a form productive of grief. One explores a form productive of equanimity. On hearing a sound with the ear, one explores a form productive of joy. One explores a form productive of grief. One explores a form productive of equanimity. On smelling an odor with the nose, one explores a form productive of joy. One explores a form productive of grief. One explores a form productive of equanimity. On tasting a flavor with the tongue, one explores a form productive of joy. One explores a form productive of grief. One explores a form productive of equanimity. On touching a tangible with the body, one explores a form productive of joy. One explores a form productive of grief. One explores a form productive of equanimity. On cognizing a mind object with mind, one explores a mind object productive of joy. One explores a mind object productive of grief. One explores a mind productive. One explores a mind object productive of equanimity. So it was with reference to this that it was said, this person consists of 18 kinds of mental exploration. This person has 4 foundations, so it was said, and with reference to what was this said, there are the foundation of wisdom, the foundation of truth, the foundation of relinquishment, letting go of craving, the foundation of peace. So it was with reference to that this was said, monk, this person consists of 4 foundations. One should not neglect wisdom, preserve truth, cultivate relinquishment, and should train for peace. So it was said, and with reference to what was this said? How does one not neglect wisdom? There are these 6 elements: the earth element, the water element, the fire element, the air element, the space element, and the consciousness element. And what is the earth element? The earth element may be either internal or external. What is the internal earth element? Whatever internally belonging to oneself is solid, solidified, and clung to. That is head hairs, body hairs, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinew, bones, bone marrow, kidneys, heart, liver, diaphragm, spleen, lungs, intestines, mesentery, contents of the stomach, and feces, or whatever else internally belonging to oneself is solid, solidified, and clung to. This is the internal earth element. Now, both the internal earth element and the external earth element are simply earth element. And that should be seen as it actually is with proper wisdom thus. This is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. When one sees it as it actually is with proper wisdom in this way, one becomes disenchanted with the earth element and allows the mind to become dispassionate towards the earth element. Now I'm going to a different sutta where the Buddha is talking to his son Rahula about the elements. Rahula, develop meditation that is like the earth. For when you develop meditation that is like the earth, arisen agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. So pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling doesn't invade your mind when you have strong mindfulness and you have balance in your mind. Just as people throw clean things and dirty things, excrement, urine, spittle, pus, and blood on the earth, and the earth is not repelled, humiliated, and disgusted because of that, so too, Rahula, develop meditation that is like the earth. For when you develop meditation that is like the earth, arisen agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. What is the water element? The watermelon element may be either internal or external. What is the internal water element? Whatever internally belonging to oneself is water, watery, and clung to. That is bile, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tears, grease, spittle, snot, oil of the joints, urine, or whatever else internally belonging to oneself is water, watery, and clung to. This is called the internal water element. Now, both the internal water element and the external water element are simply water element, and that should be seen as it actually is with proper wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. When one sees it thus as it actually is with proper wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with the water element and allows the mind to become dispassionate towards the water element. Rahula, develop meditation that is like water. For when you develop meditation that is like water, arisen agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. Just as people wash clean things and dirty things, excrement, urine, spittle, pus, and blood in water, and the water is not repelled, humiliated, and disgusted, because of that, so too, Rahula, develop meditation that is like water. Think about that. Something comes up in your mind. Think about what happens in a stream that has a rock in the middle of it. What does the water do? Does it try to go over the top of it and make it go away? No, it just goes around it. So you do that with your distractions. You don't keep your attention on your distractions. You don't fight with the distraction, you allow it to be. So when a distraction comes up, you notice that your mind is distracted a bit by it, and allow it to be there. Just let your mind go around it. Don't focus on it. This is why one of the good qualities of the Dhamma is called immediately effective, akaliko. And the reason it's immediately effective is you don't stay with that distraction. You just allow it to be there by itself. Then don't pay attention to it. Then you change to relaxing. Then you change to smiling. And then you change back to your object of meditation. So let your mind be like water. For when you develop meditation that is like water, arisen and agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. So if you try to freeze that water and make it stationary, you can look forward to having a lot of suffering. But as you allow it to be and just go around it and let it be there by itself, don't keep your attention on it. Relax, smile, come back to your object of meditation. Stay with your object of meditation for as long as you can. If your mind gets pulled back to that feeling, then do the same thing again. Especially with painful feeling in the body, you have a tendency to want to fight with it, because it's repulsive. By nature it's repulsive. But when you allow that to be there by itself, yes, it's a painful feeling. Yes, it hurts. You don't have to act in the same way that you always have acted in the past when a painful feeling arises. which is you try to think the feeling away, and the more you try to think the feeling, the bigger and more intense that feeling becomes, until you can't stand it anymore. Develop meditation that is like water. Allow that feeling to be there. The water doesn't stay in front of it and try to change it. It just goes around it and lets it be. That way, agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. That feeling, if it doesn't go away, you'll start developing equanimity, so it's not such a big deal in your mind anymore. And eventually, it won't be a distraction to you at all. What is the fire element? The fire element may be either internal or external. What is the internal fire element? Whatever internally belonging to oneself is fire, fiery and clung to. That is that by which one is warmed, ages, and is consumed, and that by which what is eaten, drunk, and consumed, and tasted gets completely digested. Or whatever else internally belonging to oneself is fiery, fiery, and clung to. This is called the internal fire element. Now, both the internal fire element and the external fire element are simply fire element. And that should be seen as it actually is with proper wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. When one sees it thus as it actually is with proper wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with the fire element and allows mind to become dispassionate towards the fire element. Rahula, develop meditation that is like fire. For when you develop meditation that is like fire, arisen agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. Just as people burn clean things and dirty things, excrement, urine, spittle, pus, and blood in fire, and the fire is not repelled, humiliated, and disgusted because of that, so too, Rahula, develop meditation that is like fire. For when you develop meditation that is like fire, arisen agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. Let it be consumed just like fire consumes things. Let it be consumed by itself. Don't hold on to it, you'll get burned. You cause your own suffering by disliking, making the whatever it is that distraction happens to be, by taking it personally and trying to control it. This is something that we have to really pay attention to. This is not me, this is not mine, this is not myself. So the more you can realize that the fire element is just, it burns on its own as long as it has stuff to put in it. So one of the things that you'll get in another sutta real soon is about Nourishment. Okay, there's different kinds of nourishment. What does nourishment mean? What you keep your attention on, that you nourish, and it gets bigger. When you keep your attention on a pain, that pain is not going to go away because you keep feeding your dislike into that sensation. But when you allow it to be there, it's like taking a hot coal and putting it in your hand, and you say, oh, that really hurts. So the way you try to get rid of it in the old way, the way you normally handle these painful things, is you try squeezing it, and you really burn your hand. But when you practice what the Buddha teaches, you have a coal in your hand, open up and let it go. Let that heat, let that nourishment, that feeding of the dislike of the situation, let it go. Doesn't mean it's going to go away immediately by itself. But as you allow it to be and you relax into it more and more, you can develop equanimity towards it. And when you have strong equanimity, which is the highest kind of feeling you can experience, when you develop that equanimity and that very strong feeling of balance, then it doesn't matter whether it's there or not. It's just something to allow to be there. Now, I've had a lot of work done on my teeth. When I was in Burma, I decided I was going to try and let one of the Burmese dentists do me a favor and clean my teeth. And he broke one of them. Then he said, well, we're going to have to do a root canal. And I said, okay, fine, we can do that, but you're not going to stick me with any needles. They don't clean their tools from one person to the next. So I decided I wasn't going to have that happen. I said, do the root canal, but I'm not going to take any painkiller. And there was pain. And I noticed what I was doing was I was holding on and I was really not liking it, and then I started relaxing the muscles in my arm, relaxing the muscles in my back and my buttock. And I still had time to send loving kindness to the person that was causing the pain. And then he'd hit another spot and it'd go again. So the whole time I was just relaxing as much as I could, allowing the pain to be there as it were, and send loving kindness to the dentist. And what happened with that was the dentist liked the feeling of having loving kindness sent to him, so he was real slow and careful. But as soon as he stopped, there was a lot of joy arising, not because I was glad that it was over. My mind just had a lot of strong equanimity and relief and joy arising, which lasted for quite a long time. He must have drilled on that tooth for a good 20 minutes, maybe longer. And every now I'd hit the nerve and it'd make me jump, and then I'd relax and start over again. So that is another lesson in how to develop your equanimity. You develop that balance of mind. Yes, it's painful. Sometimes there's really a lot of pain. But what do you do with that? Do you fight with it whenever the pain comes up and act the way you always act when that kind of pain comes up? Or do you apply your mindfulness and remember you're just supposed to be observing? This is a painful feeling, but it's not my feeling. I certainly didn't ask it to come up. It came up on its own because conditions are right for it to come up. And as you allow that to happen, then that tight mental fist that squeezes around the pain and dislikes it starts to open up and allow and relax into that. So it's a real important thing to understand that and practice. This is not me, this is not mine, this is not myself. At one time I spent about 6 months looking at everything that came up in my mind and body and asking the question, is this me? Did I ask this thought to come up? Did I ask this feeling to come up? And I developed, after about 6 months of doing that, I developed very strong equanimity and saw the impersonal nature of everything, deep insights into how this stuff works. So it does take practice, but the more you practice, the better you get at it. It's just like anything. At first, you're not going to be good at it, so don't be upset by that. As you start understanding more deeply and start allowing things and seeing this is part of an impersonal process, then everything can start changing, your perspective starts changing, and you stop taking whatever arises so personally. And you have a tendency to start having more balance. Yeah, well, there it is again. Okay, so it's there. I mean, even the Buddha had back pain, and he would have to lay down and get relief. It wasn't because he was fighting with it. He just knew that he had to get some relief by lying down. And he would get Ananda or Sariputta or whoever to carry on with the sutta. But in the suttas, what it implies is that the Buddha would go to sleep. But that's not the case. He just lied down to get relief. And he would listen to what was being said. So the more you feed something, what you think and ponder on, that's the inclination of your mind. When you think and ponder on the impersonal nature of everything, then your mind tends to see everything impersonally. So it's a real interesting experiment that I did. And I took that from one of the things in the suttas. But the Visuddhimagga doesn't even talk about that kind of meditation. And that's supposed to be the dictionary for all meditation. The interesting thing is, in the Visuddhimagga, it says there's 40 different kinds of meditation. And it talks about them all being different kinds of meditation. But when you start reading the suttas, you find out that there's only one kind of meditation. There might be 40 different kinds of objects of meditation, but there's only one kind of meditation, and that is right effort. using the 6 R's. So, as you start realizing more and more the impersonal nature of everything, the meditation starts to be more and more fun, much easier to understand. So, and what is the air element? The air element may be either internal or external. What is the internal air element? Whatever internally belonging to oneself is air, airy and clung to. That is upgoing winds, downgoing winds, winds in the belly, winds in the bowels, winds that course through the limbs, in-breath and out-breath, or whatever else internally belonging to oneself is air, airy, craved and clung to. This is called the internal air element. Now both the internal air element and the external air element are simply air element. And that should be seen as it actually is with proper wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. When one sees it thus as it actually is with proper wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with the air element and allows mind to become dispassionate towards the air element. Rahula developed meditation that is like air. For when you develop meditation that is like air, arisen agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. Just as the air blows on clean things and dirty things, on excrement, urine, spittle, pus, and blood, and the air is not repelled, humiliated and disgusted because of that, so too Rahula develop meditation that is like the air. For when you develop meditation that is like the air, arisen agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. So allow things to be. Don't feed painful things. Don't feed and try to hold on to pleasant things. Allow the equanimity to be there by itself. Doesn't matter what it is. What is space element? The space element may be either internal or external. What is the internal space element? Whatever internally belonging to oneself is space, spatial, craved and clung to. That is the holes of the ears, the nostrils, the door of the mouth, and that aperture by where what is eaten, drunk, consumed, tasted, gets swallowed, and where it collects, and whereby it is excreted from below, or whatever internally belonging to oneself is space, spatial, craved and clung to. This is called the internal space element. Now both the internal space element and external space element are simply space element. And that should be seen as it actually is with proper wisdom thus. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. When one sees it thus as it actually is with proper wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with the space element and makes mind dispassionate and allows mind to become dispassionate towards the space element. Rahula developed meditation that is like space. For when you develop meditation that is like space, arisen agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. Just as space is not established anywhere, so too Rahula develop meditation that is like space. This I kind of disagree with until you get to a certain place in the meditation. You need to have your object meditation, but when you go deep enough, then you're just watching mind, and that's what this is talking about. So, for when you develop meditation that is like space, arisen agreeable and disagreeable contacts will not invade your mind and remain. Rahula, develop meditation on loving kindness, for when you develop meditation on loving kindness, any ill will be abandoned. Rahula, develop meditation on compassion, for when you develop meditation on compassion, any cruelty will be abandoned. Rahula, develop meditation on joy, for when you develop meditation on joy, any discontent will be abandoned. Rahula, develop meditation on equanimity, for when you develop meditation on equanimity, any aversion will be abandoned. That's the Brahma Viharas. Then there remains only consciousness, purified and bright. What does one cognize with that consciousness? It means see in the present. That's what cognize means. If you say recognize, then you're talking about memory. One cognizes this is pleasant. One cognizes this is painful. One cognizes this is neither painful nor pleasant. Independence on a contact to be felt as pleasant. There arises a pleasant feeling. When one feels a pleasant feeling, one understands, I feel a pleasant feeling. One understands with the cessation of that same contact to be felt as pleasant, its corresponding feeling, the pleasant feeling that arose in dependence on that contact to be felt as pleasant, ceases and subsides. Just as from the contact and friction of two fire sticks, heat is generated and fire is produced. With the separation and disjunction of those two fire sticks, the corresponding heat ceases, subsides. So too, independence on contact to be felt as pleasant or painful or neither painful nor pleasant, there arises one of these three feelings. One understands with the cessation of that same contact to be felt as neither pleasant nor painful, neither painful nor pleasant. Its corresponding feeling ceases and subsides. Then there remains only equanimity, purified and bright, malleable, wieldy and radiant. Suppose a skilled goldsmith or his apprentice were to prepare a furnace, heat up the crucible, take some gold with tongs and put it into the crucible. From time to time he would blow on it. From time to time he would sprinkle water over it. From time to time he would just look on. That gold would become refined, well refined, perfectly refined, faultless, without dross, malleable, wieldy, and radiant. Then whatever kind of ornament he wishes to make, whether a golden chain or earrings or necklace or a golden garland, it would serve his purpose. So too, there remains only equanimity, purified and bright, malleable, wieldy, and radiant. He understands thus, if I were to direct this equanimity, so bright, purified and bright, to the base of infinite space, and to develop my mind accordingly, then this equanimity of mind, supported by that base, craving and clinging to it, would remain for a very long time. What this is saying, if you get attached to infinite space, you can have it last a long time, but you're not going to progress. If I were to direct this equanimity, so purified and bright, to the base of infinite consciousness with joy, or to the base of nothingness with equanimity, or to the base of neither perception nor non-perception, and to develop my mind accordingly, then this equanimity of mind supported by that base, craving and clinging to it, would remain for a very long time. One of the things that I tell a lot of my students is in the short time that you're with me and learning the meditation, what I'm doing is actually putting a crack in your cosmic egg. And I'm giving you the opening. So I push you along with your meditation so that you progress very, very quickly. When you get off retreat, you still have the rest of the egg around you. You have to get out on your own. He understands thus, if I were to direct this equanimity, so purified and bright, to the base of infinite space and develop my mind accordingly, this would be conditioned. If I were to direct this equanimity, so purified and bright, to the base of infinite consciousness, or to the base of nothingness, or to the base of neither perception nor non-perception, and develop my mind accordingly, this would be conditioned, because you're still holding on to that object. He does not form any condition or generate any volition tending towards being or non-being. Since he does not form any condition or generate any volition tending towards being or non-being, he does not crave and cling to anything in the world. When he does not crave and cling to anything in the world, he's not agitated. When he's not agitated, he personally attains Nibbana. Nibbana is an interesting word. because it's almost always talked about this big pie in the sky kind of experience, but there's two kinds of nibbana. Every time you use the 6 R's, you are experiencing nibbana because you've let go of the fire of craving. Ni means no, bana means fire, so your mind becomes cool. So there is the mundane kind of nibbana, and then there is a super mundane kind of nibbana, which goes beyond all conditional things. You have to be able to experience mundane nibbana many thousands, 100,000, millions of times before you experience the super mundane. He understands thus, birth is destroyed, the holy life has been lived. Now we're talking about becoming an arahat right here. What had to be done has been done. There is no more coming to any state of being. If he feels pleasant feeling, he understands it is impermanent. There is no holding to it. There is no delight in it. If he feels a painful feeling, he understands it's impermanent. There is no holding to it, unless we are attached to it and taking it personally and you want to control it. There's no delight in it. If he feels neither painful nor pleasant feeling, he understands it's impermanent. There's no holding to it. There's no delight in it. If he feels pleasant feeling, he feels it detached. If he feels a painful feeling, he feels it detached. That means not taking it personally again. If he feels a neither painful nor pleasant feeling, he feels it detached. When he feels a feeling terminating with the body, he understands, I feel a feeling terminating with the body. When he feels a feeling terminating with life, he understands, I feel a feeling terminating with life. He understands on the dissolution of the body with the ending of life, all that is felt, not being delighted in, will become cool right there. Just as an oil lamp burns in dependence on oil and a wick, and when the oil and wick are used up, if it does not get any more fuel, it is extinguished from lack of fuel. That means letting go of the craving. So too, when he feels a feeling terminating with the body or terminating with life, he understands, I feel a feeling terminating with the body or life. He understands on the dissolution of the body, with the ending of life, all that is felt, not being delighted in, will become cool right there. Nibbana. Therefore, a monk possessing this wisdom possesses the supreme foundation of wisdom. For this is the supreme noble wisdom, namely the knowledge of the destruction of all craving. His deliverance, being founded upon truth, is unshakable, for that is false monk which has a deceptive nature, and that is true which has an undeceptive nature, nibbana. Therefore, a monk possessing this truth possesses the supreme foundation of truth. For this monk is the supreme noble truth, namely Nibbana, which has an undeceptive nature. And undeceptive is an interesting word. Anytime you take something personally, you're deceiving yourself. That's why it's called delusion. And when you use the 6 R's and you relax and let go of anything that's distracting you, not keeping your attention on it, and come back to your object of meditation with a light mind that has the tendency to be undeceptive. And you get a lot of insights into the way things work for yourself. This is a very interesting part of the phenomena of the Buddha's teaching. Formerly, when he was ignorant, he undertook and accepted acquisitions. Now he has abandoned them, cut them off at the root, made like a palm stump, done away with them, so they are no longer subject to future arising. Therefore, a person possessing this relinquishing possesses the supreme foundation of relinquishment. For this is the supreme noble relinquishment, namely the relinquishing of all acquisitions, taking things personally. Formerly, when he was ignorant, he experienced covetousness, desire, and lust. Now he has abandoned them, cut them off at the root, made like a palm stump, done away with them, so they're no longer subject to future arising. Formerly, when he was ignorant, he experienced anger, ill will, and hate. Now he has abandoned them, cut them off at the root, made like a palm stump, done away with them, so they are no longer subject to future arising. Formerly, when he was ignorant, he experienced ignorance and delusion. Ignorance, a lot of times, is defined as being stupid, but it actually means uneducated. That's what ignorance is. It's just it stems from the verb to ignore. And what are you ignoring? You're ignoring the Four Noble Truths. You're not seeing how it actually works. And delusion is when you take things personally. So when we talk about lust, hatred, and delusion, it's another way of describing craving. I like it, I don't like it, I am that. So that's just another way of describing craving. The Zen, they call it the 3 poisons, but actually it's only one poison, craving. And when you finally start to recognize what craving is and how to let it go, and what the cessation of the craving is, and the way leading to it, you're letting go of ignorance. You're understanding more and more how this process works. Now he has abandoned them, cut them off at the root, made them like a palm stump, done away with them, so that they are no longer subject to future arising. Therefore, a monk possessing this peace possesses the supreme foundation of peace. And for this monk, for this monk is the supreme noble peace, namely the pacification of lust, hatred, and delusion, the pacification of all craving. So it was with reference to this that it was said, one should not neglect wisdom, should preserve truth, should cultivate relinquishment, and should train for peace. The tides of conceiving do not sweep over one who stands upon these foundations, and when the tides of conceiving no longer sweep over him, he's called a sage at peace. So it was said, and with reference to what was this said, I am is conceiving. I am this is conceiving. I shall be is conceiving. I shall not be is conceiving. I shall be possessed of form is conceiving. I shall be formless is conceiving. Now what are we really talking about here? Taking anything personally. This is me, this is mine, this is who I am. I shall be radiant is conceiving. I shall be non-radiant is conceiving. I shall be neither radiant nor non-radiant is conceiving. Conceiving is a dis-ease. Conceiving is a tumor. Conceiving is a dart. By overcome all conceivings, one is called a sage at peace. And that sage at peace is not born, does not age, does not die. He is not shaken and does not yearn, for there is nothing present in him by which he might be born. Not being born, how could he age? Not aging, how could he die? Not dying, how could he be shaken? Not being shaken, why should he yearn for anything? So it was with reference to this, it was said, the tides of conceiving do not sweep over one who stands upon these foundations. And when the tides of conceiving no longer sweep over him, he is called a sage at peace. Bear in mind this brief exposition of the 6 elements. Now, this has been going on for a long time, but this is just a brief discourse. When the Buddha gave a discourse, he had so much repetition in it, and he might talk all night. So this is just a short way of his talking right now. Thereupon the Venerable Pukusati thought, indeed, the teacher has come to me. The Sublime One has come to me. The fully awakened One has come to me. Then he rose from his seat, arranged his outer robe over one shoulder, and prostrating himself with his head at the Blessed One's feet, he said, Venerable Sir, a transgression overcame me, in that, like a fool, confused and blundering, I presumed to address the Blessed One as friend. Venerable Sir, may the Blessed One forgive my transgression, seen as such, for the sake of restraint in the future. Surely, monk, a transgression overcame you, in that, like a fool confused and blundering, you presume to address me as friend. But since you see your transgression as such, and make amends in accordance with the Dhamma, we forgive you. For it is growth in the Noble One's discipline. When one sees one's transgressions as such, makes amends in accordance with the Dhamma, and undertakes restraint in the future. Venerable Sir, I would receive the full admission under the Blessed One. Now he's asking to become a monk. But are your bowl and robes complete, monk? Venerable Sir, my bowl and robes are not complete. Monk, Tathagatas do not give full admission to anyone whose bowl and robes are not complete. Then the Venerable Pukusati, having delighted and rejoiced in the Blessed One's words, rose from his seat after paying homage to the Blessed One. He departed in order to search for bowl and robes. But while the Venerable Pukusati was searching for bowl and robes, a stray bull killed him. Then a number of monks went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, sat down at one side and told him, Venerable Sir, the clansman Pukusati, who was given brief instruction by the Blessed One, has died. What is his destination? Where is his future course? Monks, the clansman Pukusati was wise. He practiced in accordance with the Dhamma and did not trouble me in interpretation of the Dhamma. With the destruction of the 5 lower fetters, the clansman Pukusati has reappeared spontaneously in the pure abodes and will attain final Nibbana without ever returning from that world. That is what the Blessed One said. The monks were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. So this gives you a very nice explanation of the elements and how to use the elements. And the main teaching of this is that everything is impersonal. Don't get caught up in liking and disliking. Allow things to be as they are. Don't try to change anything or make it any different than it is. Sharpen your mindfulness so you can see how mind's attention moves more and more clearly. And as you do that, your meditation will become very good and peaceful, calm. And you will be able to attain Nibbana just in this short period of time. So, okay, I'll share some merit then. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.